I just bought the DJI Mini 4K, and the question is, will I regret it? Join us as we open and review this drone, and I show you some of the tricks about purchasing and owning one of these. Better stay tuned. This is your Geek Fix. For some time now, I've been interested in having a drone for being able to do things that I can't easily do at the moment. And more recently, I've run into several occasions where I need to film in such a way that was difficult without some kind of trolley or boom. I've also been doing a lot of traveling lately, and I've seen a lot of opportunities where I could have used a drone to really enhance those videos. And I was actually looking at a really cheap drone that I found out had 4K, and I was on the fence about it. And the guy that was reviewing it said, hey, if you can't get this for less than $200, it's not really worth it. You might as well just spend a little bit more to get a higher end drone. And so I looked at DJI, which is a company that I already trust because I've seen a lot of drone work that's been done with it. They're probably the most popular drone company around. And particularly because they produce really good mini drones. And that's important because they tend to be 249 grams or less, which prevents me in the United States from having to register them or to do a lot of extra certification to be able to fly them because they are technically considered as a toy. At the same time, places like Canada this year have put out such high restrictions that even something like this, you would have to have a basically pilot's license to be able to operate it. That doesn't mean that here in the United States we don't also have local laws that would restrict your use without giving extra permissions. Now, when I found out that DJI had a 4K drone, which basically has the DJI Mini 2 body, but with that 4K camera. And the fact that it was under that $300 range made me feel a little bit more comfortable. At the same time, I also know that these drones commonly will fly into things or fly away, they break, drop into water. So of course, I didn't want any of that to happen. DJI also has a coverage that you can purchase that covers all of those things. And they replace, I think, 4 drones or 4 times without many questions. I watched a lot of reviews of professionals that had bought that coverage, and they all said it was almost immediately that they were using it to replace either the remote, to replace their drone, and in every case they were able to do so fairly quickly. And I tell you that because I decided that I would go to the DJI site to purchase mine because I wanted that coverage. I didn't know at the time you can actually get that coverage tied to any of their sites, or when you're registering your drone, you can also extend coverage. DJI does have 3 options for being able to purchase any of their stuff. The first being the DJI site, the second being Amazon. However, I didn't see much difference in price. However, I did learn that there's some benefit that it might get to you sooner if they have it in stock. And then there's the eBay site, which is really interesting because they sell a lot of their refurbished items as well as things that are being discounted. And I actually noticed on there that they had a DJI Mini 3 that was for sale for about the same price. And to be honest, if I would have known a little more in advance, I might have gone that direction instead, because it's not that this isn't a good drone, but the 3 does have more things that it can do and some extra capabilities, so it is a better drone. On DJI's site, you can pick your package, and naturally I want to get the Flymore package because, of course, every time I've looked into it, that Flymore package comes with a lot of stuff. You can't get the pieces individually for that same price or even close to it. You get way more batteries, you get way more replacement parts, it comes with a case. And so that's what I was going to do. It's not that much more money, and so I decided to purchase that. And then when I went in to actually pay, I looked at the shipping date, and it was way out. I mean, like more than a month before it would even be shipped. I didn't understand why, so I contacted DJI, and they said that the reason is because that particular package is so in demand at the moment that it tends to be out of stock, and it takes longer to get it. So I decided to test this out. I went back. When I selected to get only the 4K Mini by itself, suddenly it was available next week. I would get it within less than a week, actually. I also got the propeller guard with it, but I decided not to get all the other items. As I said earlier, if you don't do the Flymore package, all the additional items cost way more to buy individually. But I found that I could get 2 more batteries directly from DJI through their eBay store for a really good price. I could get blades and other things between Amazon and, unfortunately, Temu. So I literally piecemealed this out. But something else I wasn't aware of is that DJI has basically 2 facilities where they have their materials so that you can get them as soon as possible and make sure that there's more that are available. So while there is a facility here in the US that stores these, on the flip side, there's also one in China. And when the DJI here in the United States runs out, then you get it shipped directly from China. In my case, this would be coming from China, but I still got it within about 7 days. And now with it arriving today, I could not wait to not only open and review this, but also to take it out and fly it. So let's check it out. Here we got the box, and right here inside, oh wow, look at that. The first thing I'm going to do is get a link here, and then that'll take me to an agreement, which then take me through my first use instructions as well as my beginner guide. It's also recommended that I install the app. One of the first things I got confused on, at least in relation to the app on Android, is that there's multiple DJI apps that aren't all by DJI. And I found out that the reason for that is that there isn't a DJI app, the actual DJI app, on the Android store. You have to get it actually from the website. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. Okay. And just like that, we've got everything that we need all set up. Which then brings us to this device itself. Look at how compact this is. I mean, it is small. Like I said, the weight and size of this is pretty important. At the moment, I'm going to set this right here. Next, I'm going to take out this part of the box to get down below here. In this box, we've got some extra blades here. We got a screwdriver. We've got cleaning cloth, physical instructions, and I cut my finger on the package. There we go. Now it's fixed. And let's see here. So yeah, more instructions. Here's a connection cable. I think this is a charging cable. And then, last but not least, we've got this thing. And there it is. Although, yeah. Okay, so there they are. I was looking for these. These are what goes into here. This one on this side. This one over here goes into this side. And yeah. To protect those blades also, I did get this set. This will help to guard all those in the case that I'm flying indoors, which I very well might be at the beginning. Now I got this box on Amazon, and I'm pretty excited about it. Not only is it great for the 4K Mini, but also for the 2. And one of the things I like about it is that it's totally and completely waterproof. And so when it's closed, you can actually submerge it quite a ways. No water will get in. It has great compartments. One of the things I like about it, typically one of the downsides to using a box like this is that you have to first take off your controller knobs, but not in this case. It actually will fit right in just like that. I also have spots for all 3 of my batteries and for my drone. Over here I have a space for my extra blades. This holds for the 2-way charging hub, which I chose not to go with DJI brand. I ended up going instead with this one right here. The main reason for which is this screen on the front. It actually allows you to see how much each battery is charged. Even just taking these batteries and sticking them inside without being plugged in, it will give you information on the current charge for that battery. It also allows for quick charging, and you can charge all 3 batteries. But one thing to know about these batteries is you want to be careful about how much you charge them. The reason for that is because these are very smart batteries. They're smart flight batteries. Now you're probably used to the idea of your phone not being undercharged because the battery can swell and that can cause more problems. So you always want to have some level of a charge. With these batteries, there's kind of an opposite situation. They don't want to be fully charged because then they can swell. It can change the life of these batteries and really affect them. So to avoid that, DJI actually designed them, when they're even unplugged like this, to be able to discharge a certain percentage every so many days. So if it was 100%, within a few days, it'll discharge down to, I think, somewhere in the 80s, and then at 5 days it goes down to the 70s, and that's not a bad thing. The problem is that if I leave my batteries plugged into either my charger or into my actual drone, they don't do that discharge process, and so I could actually be harming them by leaving them plugged in. So for that reason, you might want to remove your battery and leave them out just like this when they're charged. Then you can just charge them up the final percentage the day that you're flying. But yeah, very cool. They also have a very easy to use video guide that will talk you through all the initial steps for setting it up and flying. Looks like she got the Fly More combo. They walk you through all the instructions of what to do, how to set it up, what to take out.
Charge batteries with the two-way charging hub.
With my batteries now charged, I was ready to fly. And connecting is not that hard. First thing we want to do is to take out our remote and bring the wire around for my C connector and plug that into my phone. I will say that a problem I ran into, and that they actually even talk about, is to make sure that if you have a cover for your phone, which I do, that you take that off first. The reason for that is it can keep that connector from being secure, and if it becomes disconnected, it will disconnect from the device. To turn on my remote, I have a short press of the power button followed by a long press. You'll also notice that we have 3 settings here. We have a cinema mode, a normal mode, and a sports mode. I'm starting in the normal mode. Next, we'll take out our actual drone. The arms need to come out in a certain way. So first, I want these arms to come out. They have the long legs. If I fail to do that, then I'm going to have where I can't pull out my other legs. Again, short press on the button, followed by a long press. Turns it on. I need to remove this gimbal cover. Now I can put it on a flat surface where there's not other items around it. Connection's pretty straightforward. There was a couple things I wasn't aware of. One of them was that I was limited. I didn't know that even over where I live, I'm actually within the area of a municipal airport. And so each time before I fly, I have to register and basically agree that I'm not going to be breaking any rules, and also so they know that I'm flying around, who I am, so if anything bad happens, they can come get me. The second thing I didn't know had to do with the fact that I was in a tutorial mode. And when you're in the tutorial mode, there is limitations, but I'll come back to that in a second. To start the drone, we pull both of the joysticks in and down. The blades then spin up. Pushing up increases the speed of those blades. Pulling down will slow it down or lower it. Left and right turns the drone left and right, whereas left and right with this joystick will make the whole drone move fully to the right or to the left, while pushing it forward and backward will move the drone forward and backward. What I thought was a trim button is actually for controlling the camera, looking up and down. There's also a function button that allows you to quickly make the gimbal pop down or pop up. I can pause the flight with a single press of this button or land it by holding it down, and this button takes pictures or video. Now, the second thing I wasn't aware of was that I was in tutorial mode, or at least I didn't know what the limitations were on that. And now do this. There we go.
Max flight distance reached.
Uh-oh. Is it coming back? Can you see it?
Yeah, it's coming back.
I guess. So for that reason, each time I try to fly, even a short distance, it would stop and say I'd reached the maximum distance, which was a little frustrating. Height-wise, too, I can go very high. I even increased my distance to unlimited, but it didn't seem to make a difference. It would continually say I had to come back, or it goes into a mode that brings it back automatically if the battery goes low or if I've gone too far. Eventually, I saw that it was because I was in tutorial mode. I got out of tutorial mode, and suddenly I could actually fly farther. Now, there's a few things you want to avoid for your first flight. Number 1, make sure you're taking off in an area that doesn't have a lot of trees or objects around. Number 2, avoid flying over water. And number 3, don't fly very far. And I decided to break all 3 of those. And it was a little scary the first time around. There it goes.
That's gutsy. Put it out over the wall.
Yeah. But I pretty quickly got more comfortable with it. The only problem that I had was learning how to more smoothly pan or make the camera look a little bit better, which if I put it into cinema mode would have helped. but it flew pretty far. Supposedly this drone can typically fly up to about 3 miles without disruption. And no matter how far away I got, it was very responsive. Now, one problem about flying over water is that you don't want the drone to go down in the water, and of course that was my fear, which wasn't a problem until suddenly what my handset said was that I was running out of time. It said that the battery was low and I had about 10 seconds before it was going to go into return to home, which it'll automatically do. It's a great feature, so it can return right to where we are and land when the battery gets low enough, so it knows exactly how much battery it needs to do that, supposedly. But when it went into return to home mode, it started flying higher and not really moving forward initially. And I got cold feet and decided to cancel the return to home and decided instead to find a dry spot nearby that I could easily drive to and find the drone. And so that's what I did. I headed into land, I looked for a spot, did my very best to land at some place that I would be able to easily find it. I will say this is kind of small, so if you land it in a place where you can't see it very well, you could be in big trouble. The app and drone also have a Find My Drone option, so as long as it has some level of charge in it, not only can you still attach to it and watch through the camera, which I was able to actually still continue to use the camera the whole time after I landed, until I actually got to the site. And so if somebody would have picked it up or something, I actually could have still seen it. I could have even spun it up again if I really wanted to. I was still able to fly back to my car, which was actually still a bit of a distance, so I think it probably could easily made it back that first flight, but nonetheless, it did work. Now, a couple of things that are limitations or supposed limitations with this drone. As I mentioned earlier, all of DJI's drones now are not able to sync while they're in flight, but other DJI drones are able to do things with active tracking, meaning that they can actually follow you in their shots, which was part of the reason why I wanted a drone, and I was unaware that the DJI 2, which is essentially what this is with a higher camera, is unable to do that. At least with the DJI app. One of those being that you can put it into the fly around mode, and if you're moving in the same direction as it's flying, when you do that, it's unable to complete its circle, and so it just instead kind of follows you a distance. So in the end, the question is, am I happy with this purchase? Is it worth it? Would I purchase this one again? And the answer is kind of mixed. I think it's an awesome drone. However, like I said earlier, if I would have noticed the refurbished 3 that's on their site on eBay a little bit earlier, I might have gone with that one because the price difference wasn't that much and I'd get all the additional features. However, this drone gives me their camera, a great gimbal. The DJI 3 also has a gimbal that can look up a bit more if you need that. And playing around with it, I can't think of reasons I would need to do that just yet. It also doesn't have the same number of sensors that the 3 has in order to be able to fly without bumping into objects. But generally speaking, I mean, it has the level of camera that I want, and it's easy to control. and it's the size that I need to be able to take it on a plane or to be able to fly it pretty much anywhere in southern United States without any difficulty. Keep in mind, I've only flown this today, but so far, I actually loved this experience. It was a lot of fun. It was scary, but I will say that insurance that I purchased makes me feel pretty confident. I kind of went out there tonight thinking, you know what, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to lose this, but I know that at the same time I could replace it for no extra cost. It was a good thing. So would I buy it again? Yeah, I totally would. I'm very happy with it. I'm pretty excited about the things we're going to be able to capture, especially in about a month. I have a lot of big plans for it, and I do need to be able to get it on a plane for that purpose. So what do you think? I mean, is this something that you would get? Would you even get a drone these days with all the restrictions that seem to be growing and mounting? And if you do, would you want to get one like this that gets around a lot of those restrictions? In the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. This has been your Geek Fix.